Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session of English Wednesdays with Macmillan Education and Mondadori Education. We are here today with Anna Hasper, who's participating from Dubai. Hello, Anna.
Hi, Romina. How are you?
I'm fine. You? All good?
I'm good, thank you.
Great. And today, Anna will talk about interesting topics related to teenagers and how to teach teenagers with or without technology. All the questions, guys, there will be time at the end to ask your questions to Anna, and I will help you out as well. And later on, I will tell you something about the certificates and the attestati. But now, Anna, you can start to have your presentation. And thanks again, everyone.
Great. Thank you, Romina, for your introduction. And thanks, Mondadori, for having me. And thank you, Macmillan, Italy. Good. I think I need to start sharing my screen first, or is it there already, Romina? Can you see my screen?
I can. Yeah.
Fabulous, lovely. So thank you everyone for joining me tonight. I appreciate you probably had a busy day teaching, and it's lovely to see you here at Macmillan English Wednesdays. Today, as Romina said, we're going to talk about engaging teenagers. And I think under the current circumstances, it's a little bit hard to say with or without technology, but is it all about technology for them? That's what we're going to explore today. And just before I start, if there's anything after the presentation that you want to ask or you want to get in touch, you can find me on LinkedIn, Twitter, not very active on that one, but or connect on Facebook to my Facebook site, Teacher Train. I'm always happy to give you ideas, or if there's anything I can do, feel free to connect. Now, also, of course, we're talking from Dubai, as Romina already said, and you just never know what happens with the internet here. It is 7 o'clock. Which means most people are online at home watching Netflix, I think, and everybody is working from home as well. So at times the internet connection might be a little bit tricky. If we disappear, or if I disappear, I probably have to say, please be patient. Don't panic. Get up, do some shoulder rolls, and hopefully I'll be back very soon. But let's hope that's not going to happen. Good. Let me tell you a little bit about my teaching context so far. I work in Dubai. I work with lots of teachers on teacher training, but I also have IELTS classes with teenagers in their last year of secondary. And the year started off beautifully. After Christmas, we all went back to school. January was pretty okay. There was something in a newspaper about COVID-19, but that was about it. And for us, mid-March, Mr. COVID came to Dubai in a bit more of a serious way, and our school holidays from April were moved forward. Our schools closed. And after Easter, most of us worked from home. So that is a little bit of my context here. Of course, we had the summer holidays, and at the moment, some people are back in the classroom, but young learners and university students, we are all still teaching from home. Some secondary schools are still teaching from home as well. So it is not what it used to be. And I was going to ask you a question about your context in Italy, but I think maybe I should change my question, not how are you currently teaching, because I think most of you are teaching from home as well. Maybe like, how have you been teaching throughout 2020? Maybe you had some fully face-to-face classes, like those old days. Maybe you had online full-time on Zoom, or maybe another platform. Maybe there was a mixture of some face-to-face and online teaching happening. And maybe you have a hybrid system where half of your students are in the classroom and the other half of the students are logging in from home. Or maybe another way with worksheets or handouts or whatever you bring along to the students. Could you please tell me a little bit in the chat box? Oh, beautiful. Blended online, teaching from home as well. Yes. Right, Microsoft Teams, 100% online. Paolo is saying mix. Paula, lovely. Oh, somebody is still fully face-to-face. That's so exciting. Hybrid learning. Good. So a bit of a mixture then, right? But most of us seem to be online, or a bit online at least. Good. Now, my question, of course, this for us has been a huge change. In that way, 2020 could well be called the year of change, because most of us, or maybe I'm speaking for myself, I'm a dinosaur, we were all trained in the face-to-face classroom. So I'm really curious, after you had your summer break, maybe you did some courses, maybe your schools have provided some development, and of course Macmillan has done lots of webinars for teaching. I'm just very curious to find out about your current situation. For me, I don't know what's going to happen. I do know that I like teaching online, but like I said to Romina before as well, and to Luca, I find it quite tiring. So I like to know how you feel about teaching online. So I like to use a tool which is called Answer Garden, and I don't know if you're familiar with it. When you go to the chat box, you can see the link and copy that into your browser, and you can type a short answer. I think we only have about 20 characters, so it's a really short answer. Are you happy about it, or how does it make you feel? Any adjective. Paula saying stressed, exhausted. It's actually what I typed in before while we were practicing, especially after a 4 or 5 hour day that you have meetings, you're teaching. It makes you very tired, right? To stare at the screen. Yeah, disappointed, Loredana saying, and stressful. Luckily, I see some people saying happy as well, because I do think it makes me feel happy that I still can see my students. I've only got 2 classes at the moment that are running. But a lot of us also feel it's very taxing, not only emotionally draining, but also I think you're looking at the screen and it's switching screens, it's looking at all these faces that I can't really get close to at times. Beautiful. Thank you, Luca, for sharing that. Lots of different words, demanding time-wise. Somebody's saying out of fashion. It's really modern though, isn't it? Slightly depressing, freaking out. Yeah. Good. So I think overall, a lot of us actually feel that it is quite taxing on us. Yeah, we might not all be so positive about it. And that's actually no surprise. If you look at research, and I'm going to give you a minute to read this quote before I continue. So this research was conducted in April, May 2020, before our summer holidays. They interviewed about 1,200 teachers. We did a survey monkey, and the result was that 91% of the teachers actually said they'd never taught online before, and 83% had received no formal training at all. So everything we're doing online is maybe based on what we have heard from friends, maybe some free courses. There's some absolutely fabulous courses out there on Future Learn. Teaching English online, that was a course that really helped me, but still it is practicing and really putting it into practice to see how it works. And Farina, I agree, that is very exhausting as well. And Prato, it's a challenge. It's a great challenge. I very much agree with you. I'm very grateful for this learning opportunity, but it was also very taxing. And at times I did not want to open my Facebook or my WhatsApp messages, because my teaching colleagues were all sending me several apps and tools and links and toys, and it was just simply overwhelming. I had no idea what to use anymore. And I've used technology in my teaching in the past. I've had taught online before, but not using this live online teaching like Zoom or StreamYard. I found it just overwhelming because there was so much thrown at me that I didn't know what to use or what to choose. And Bernadetta, indeed, the experience I really liked, but my brain was saying, cognitive overload, this is too much, error. Yeah. And I thought, oh my goodness, if I'm feeling like this with everything that's coming at me, and I'm in control to choose what I want to use in my lessons, imagine how my students must be feeling. Yeah. Now, I don't know what your students are like when you teach them online in Microsoft Teams or whatever tool you use. Some of my students have really blossomed. They are really enjoying the experience, but not all of my students. So I decided to do some research with secondary students in our region. And I did this it was the beginning of June, just before we stopped for summer break. And this is a quote one of the upper intermediate students wrote. Please have a look and have a think about the words that's missing. You can use the chat box if you have any idea. Serena, welcome. Rosanna, they feel as stressed as us. Yes, I think so. And this student used a very interesting word. And I actually noticed a similar words, at least words with similar meaning coming back in all the narratives that written for me. Valentina, distance. It's got to do with distance. Barbara, it's got to do with relationships. Yes, indeed. Good. Any other people that are guessing what my student says? Actually, 2 words. A very nice collocation. Upper end. Yeah, Lorna, a gap. Good. My students, this student actually, or one of my students, actually wrote about social isolation. And it is probably very true. If you're that age, a teenager, your peers, the community of learners around you, that is really your life in a way much more than your parents, because, right, they don't understand me anyway. But your peers are going to similar development processes. They are really your second family, as this teenager said. School is my second home. And looking at all the narratives, I haven't done the data analysis fully yet. I can see a lot of disconnecting, feeling alone, miserable. So for a lot of our students, it's maybe not what they like either. They really like to have relationships with other students, and that is much harder when we are online. So this really made me question, it's all good and well that we get all these apps and all these tools for free as teachers online to use, but is it really all about technology if we want learning to happen in that secondary classroom? Yeah. So that's really what I want to focus on with you today in this session. So let's explore a little bit our context, who we are teaching. Then have a look at engagement, which is a really important facet, a key element for learning to happen. And then we're going to explore 4 conditions that we need to put in place for our students to be engaged. And then hopefully there is some time left for questions and answers. So good. So my question is it all about technology, or is it more important to use technology in a certain way that makes something tick for our learners in the classroom? Yeah. Good. So let's have a look then at our context. I bet you recognize, maybe not this person, but I think you recognize the idea. This is what we used to see before COVID-19. Students sitting outside school, staring down. Apparently, they would like to check their phone 7 times or every 7 minutes, which is about 8 times in an hour. So yeah, there's a lot of going on there with being connected through the internet. So Good. So let's explore a bit what our audience is like, other than that they do like their phones when they're at school. Yeah? So I'm going to ask you to use the chat box again, and maybe you can describe, if I say teens or teenagers, how would you describe them? What are they like in your eyes? You can base it on your experience or what you see around you in the classroom every day. What do you feel they are like? No wrong, no right, just your opinion. Yes, Camilla, indeed, setting that context. Very important in the classroom as well. So any ideas, any feelings about what teenagers are like? Fragile. I like the one as well, over enthusiastic. Unsure. They are friends. Yeah. Socially interconnected, vulnerable, monsters. Oh my goodness, Renato. Sometimes I do hear teachers saying that, and when I look at their face, some teachers actually mean it as well, I think. They are indeed, Valentina, they're sensitive as well. Giuseppe, they're very creative. They are looking for interaction, Anna Maria, indeed. Maybe not so much with parents or adults, but maybe more with people of their age, right? They can be confused. Yes, disorganized. Oh my goodness. I'm really happy to see that there's some positive adjectives and some negative. I don't want to call them negative adjectives because it's just what they are like, right? They are puzzled. They can be moody. And Elisa, I think you've hit the nail on the head. This is all because they are trying to find out in life who they actually are. Yeah, so what you can see here is a teenager that you would maybe think, okay, lazy. I don't know if he's lazy. I think more tired. Because as you were already saying here, they are confused, they are puzzled. That age group that we're teaching of young people, there's a lot going on in their brain. Yeah, emotionally they're changing, physically they're changing, social changes are important for them. So there's a lot of change happening, and the brain is actually really tired, fatigued. Yes, because it is growing and developing different links in their brain. We might not sometimes think it or see it, but there's a lot going on up there. And they need, on average, about 9.5 hours of sleep. Now, I don't know what your teenagers are, but mine definitely do not get it. So they're often very tired. And when they come to class, they're very busy with their friends and other things, because they really like that social interaction. They really want to hang out with others to find their identity. They don't find their identity by talking to people who are older, like their parents at home. They need to find their place in their little community, or their tribe, as we sometimes call it. So their mind is very busy, their brain's very busy, trying to figure out, do I look cool? Does that sound good? There's only very little space left in their brain for learning. Yeah. And Barbara, in a way, they're all same, but different. Yes. If you look at the mind and what's going on in the brain, all those processes are happening, but of course it could be at different times that they happen, but they're all changing physically and emotionally. Yeah, so we need to keep that in mind. There's a lot going on at the inside. Because of that, there might be little attention at times for learning. And it affects their behavior. It affects actually how they do and play up in the classroom. So I think the best way of talking about teens is a warning. They are still under construction. Yeah, so if they're misbehaving, it's often not really misbehaving. They're behaving in a different way because they're trying to get something that's maybe not the same as our intention out of that interaction. Yeah. And if you look at the brain, you probably know this, your prefrontal cortex, that's what we think with, we show empathy with, we reason, we judge with that bit. But that is not fully developed till mid-20s or sometimes even late 20s. So until that time, the limbic system, what's in the middle of the brain, actually rules their life. And the limbic system is all about feelings. Does it feel good? Do I like it? Yes, then I do it. So when you look at teenagers as well, and for example, accidents on scooters or motorbikes or car accidents, yeah, that's often teenagers are involved in that more often than adults because we have that ability to reason and think maybe it's not so good. For them, it's like, does it feel good? Yeah, let's go. So they're much more ruling their life by if it feels good, we do it. If not, I'm not going to do it. And until what age that exactly is, Valentina, we don't know. Sometimes it's about the age of 25, but like they said, till late 20s as well. It's amazing though, right? They think more with the heart than they actually do with the brain. So good. So we've all been there. We've done it. We maybe even got the t-shirt saying I was a teen, but I do think sometimes as teachers, we've forgotten a little bit what it's like to be a teenager. So before we go into look at those engagement principles, let's quickly see if you can step in their shoes and let me know if they think, yeah, this is cool, or if they think, no, teacher, you're completely mad. Yeah. So I like to find out about the statements if you think, are they true or are they false? I'm going to show you 5 statements, 1 truth and 2 lies. Yeah. And I'm going to do it in a different way because what I've noticed with my teenagers, they don't like sitting still very long. Maybe as a teacher, you can relate to that because we sit the whole day behind our desk, we're staring at a screen. So my students, we have a lot of activities that I get them up to do something or just raise their hands or do something else. Yeah. So this activity, they found quite fun. I don't know if it works with your students. You really need to see if they're actually in the right frame of mind to do this. But I'm going to show you 5 statements. If you think the statement is true, you can stand up, stretch a bit, bend to the right. If you think it's false, you can stand up and bend to the left. Now, I don't see you, but I think maybe you feel like a stretch. So feel free to have a go. Yeah. Let me quickly check, though, for the instructions, because we're all teachers, right? So I am a teacher. Can you show me true or false? I am a teacher. For yourself, where are you going to bend? Left or right? I hope you're all teachers, so you're going to bend to the right. Good. Shame I can't look into your living room. That would be lovely to see. Good. So for yourself, have a stretch, move, do what you want to do. But let me know true or false. Don't need to type it in the chat box because you might be happy just to watch and stretch. First statement, teenagers like teachers who ask them to perform in front of the class. Truth or lie? Ah, right. I don't even know if you see me mirrored or not. Good. Second statement, we're going to get back to the answers in a minute. Teenagers like teachers who want to be their friend. Truth or lie? Lovely. Statement number 3. Teenagers like teachers who treat them like adults. I see lots of typing. If you just feel like stretching, that's absolutely fine too. Good. Number 4, they like teachers who give them tasks beyond their level. I love how active you are in the chat box. Thank you. Great. And I think the last one. Good. So if you're standing, this is your last stretch. They like teachers who are genuine. True or false? Truth or lie? Great. Nice. Good. Lots of answers in the chat box. Very nice to see that you're actually participating and thinking about this as well. Yeah. And with your students, of course, if they don't like to do it this way, you could just thumbs up, thumbs down, use the chat box, whatever works with the group you are teaching. Yeah, mine quite like to get away from the computer because in their daily life, a lot of our students in Dubai are not that much on computers. They're always on the phone. They're not behind screens like this. They like to move, talk and walk on their phones. Yeah, good. Let's have a look then at the answers, compare them to what you thought. And of course, the red ones, I don't like red actually. I wanted to make it pink, but clash of colors. Red ones are the ones that we would say in general, no, probably not true. And the black ones are the ones that we say, yes, they are most likely true. Any surprises there? Thumbs up, thumbs down, Roberta, definitely. Yeah, and they can use that one as well if they're so in the middle. Good. So let me talk about the first one, because I think it's been quite a habit in the culture where I'm teaching that students have to present and get up and perform something in front of the class. And then, it's, you know what it was like when you were a teenager and your auntie came to visit and it's like, oh, Anna plays the flute. Can you go and get your flute and play something? You're like, oh, no, not again. And it actually is a very normal thing for teenagers not to be very keen on this. Their social embarrassment is heightened at that stage of development. They don't want to be singled out. They don't want to stand out. They really like to be part of a group and work together with others. As somebody already mentioned in the chat box, they're very social creatures. It's embarrassing, Olivia. Yes, it is. So they don't really like that. They're much happier to be with others of their level, not so much with the parents or the grandparents, but with their mates in their tribe and do an activity collaboratively. Yeah. Now, the second one, looking at treat them like adults. Yes, of course, that's really what they want, right? At that age or in that stage, they want to figure out, who am I? Yeah, where do I stand in life? Where do I fit in? And who do I actually want to be? So that's often what's happening in the brain, these stages they go through. Of course, like you say, Pierre, it's not exactly the same for each student, but often if we look at research, this is what the brain sort of ticks with and doesn't tick with. They like to be adults, they want to take their own decisions and make their own choices. They don't like to be put on the spot and perform like a dancing monkey, as one of my students labeled it once. Yeah. And of course, some of them do appreciate it, but in general, when you single them out, I don't see them very excited. Yeah? Now, do they want you to be their friend? I think we all know that is maybe not what they want. They want to know that you respect them and that you care for them, because that's when they can actually put their trust in you as well. And when you trust them and they trust you, you can build up that rapport. And then you can actually build relationships, that behavior becomes better in class. But they don't really want you to be the cool dude who hangs out with them. So be friendly, I would say, but they're not really looking for you as their friend. They want to belong in their own group of friends. Yeah? they don't really like tasks that are beyond their level. At this stage of development, they want to succeed independently from their parents or their caretakers. So if we give them a task that's too difficult, it's frustrating. As Antonietta just said, that they want to succeed. They want to feel, I can do it myself. Yeah. So really a task that is maybe a little bit more challenging, but mostly doable, is about the right level. To really challenge them and see who's really good at this, super frustrating. If they're frustrated, I think you know what kind of behavior we can expect. And then the last one, when we look at our role as teachers and our persona, they like you to be genuine. For some reason, they're really good at sort of guessing when you're actually faking it. So they rather have an authentic role model in the classroom that they can build that trust relationship with. Because at home, sometimes that's much harder than with a teacher in the classroom. So be yourself, be real, and have a genuine interest in your students. Ask them questions, see how they're doing, and build up that rapport, that positive relationship with their students. Yeah. Yes, Susanna, I think that's true too. They don't like to have things too difficult because sometimes that fear of not coping might cause embarrassment for their friends. So they just want to be able to succeed. And that's a very empowering feeling actually for our teenagers. Yeah. Good. So lots of things going on in the brain that really impact those students and that impact how they behave in our classroom. Now, I haven't used a lot of technology in this presentation, but of course, I can't remember who said it. You can use the thumbs up and thumbs down, and even the so-so. You might be familiar with these activities or apps as well, Kahoot, which you can use as well when you do quizzes with your students. Quizzes is also a very nice app that you can use to do true-false activities or definitions. And Gimkit is another, an app that I use a lot for vocabulary recycling. If you haven't used it, it's definitely worth looking at. It's a bit more formative assessment. So you put 20 words in and it keeps on recycling those 20 words for 5 minutes or 6 minutes, whatever you set it as a teacher. And that might be something that you can do with correct words, false words, true words, false words. So have a look if you want to use some tech. But like I said, I don't think it's all about technology. Yeah. Because even students get engaged when we may be just using a chat box, when we may be just using Zoom, when we're actually talking to them and asking how they are doing. It's a lot more about creating conditions in your classroom that make students feel engaged, feel sort of involved in that learning process, in the live online classroom, but also in the face-to-face classroom. Engagement is a hugely important element of learning. Yeah. Students are not engaged. There is very little happening in the learning process. So before I'm going to look at those 4 conditions that you can make through technology to engage your learners, I like to have a look at that definition of engagement. Good. Kahoot, I'm just reading what Roberta wrote there. Yeah, the students love it, right? I cannot hear the music anymore, though. Every time I hear it's like, oh, no, not again. Good. So let's move on then and explore that concept of engagement. So we know we're all speaking about the same. So in a minute, I'm going to show you 3 different definitions. All I'd like you to do is read and select the one that resonates most with you. The 3 definitions, which one do you like the most about engagement? So use the chat box to show me A, or B, or C. Oh my goodness, it says A. Right, show me A1. Oh no, it does say A, B, C. How interesting. Good. Can you type in the chat box which one you like the most? So engagement is being on task, thinking and enjoying, anticipating in the learning process, being passionate about it, and being fully absorbed by whatever it is you are doing. Lovely. I see lots of A's, I see B's, I see C's. Great. Now, the beauty actually of this activity, you have choice, right? And the beauty is that none of these definitions is wrong. They're just different. Yeah, one is from the Education Glossary. The second one is from Sarah Mercer, who's written a lot of work on engagement. And the third one is from some research done in the UK on engagement. I'll give you some references at the end of this session as well. What I like in all of them, it's about enjoying, yeah, passionate, fully absorbed. So engagement is psychological, physical, it's everything. It's actually that being in the flow. And Camilla, I like C really, probably the most as well, because being in the flow is such an important concept. I don't know if you've ever, if you read books, very good example. Sometimes you're reading and you're not really aware of time. You have no idea what's happening around you. And all of a sudden, my husband is saying, are we going to have dinner tonight or what? Oh my God, I've been reading for an hour. I completely lost track of time. I didn't even see how fast that went. Yeah, good. So that really means that you are in the flow. Right, I don't know what's happening. I'll probably have to get back to my slide. Sorry for that. Good, let's have a look. I think we are back. Yes, good. So C for me is the one I prefer, but there is no wrong or right. The only thing that you all picked up, it's very active, right? Engagement is not the same as motivation. And we read an awful lot about motivation, which is very important, but that's the first stage. That motivation is that you're willing to do it. That engagement is actually that you're actively doing it, you're participating. And that's really what we need for learning. Motivation is necessary, but probably not enough. Now, and why is it so important that our students are engaged? Because there's a lot happening when we are engaged. It really impacts that learning. When you feel that you like something, here we go again with our teenagers, certain assets are being released in your brain. And if you're engaged and in the flow, those positive acids, glutamate, dopamine, they are released. And they actually mean that better learning happens. It sticks. Glutamate, it says it already, glue. So if you're positively, emotionally engaged, it sticks much more in your brain. So better learning happens. So for that, we need to know what engages our teenagers. Yeah. Now, I don't know if you have any ideas, but I do think that there are certain things we see that really engages them. And I've labeled them the 4 C's. Have you got any idea what my 4 C's relate to? What engages our learners? And technology or computer is not in there. Any ideas? Type it in the chat box, please. Something that's of interest, Barbara. Yeah, really meaningful. And I think Olivia just typed in, how can I get my students more interested in speaking? I think the first thing is to find something they're interested in, that's meaningful to them. Yes. Competition, Stefano, yes, to a certain extent, definitely. But don't forget, there's social creatures, like Georgia is saying, they also like to collaborate. Creativity, for some students, they absolutely love that. Communication, Maria, they love talking. Yes, I think that's one as well. Now, concentration is definitely very important for learning, but I don't know how good my students are at that sometimes. Annalisa, I like that. Care. Aha, I have put a different word there, but yes, communication, yes, collaboration, yes. And there is one other C, Maria, you've got it. We have got it. Let's have a look then. So it's not about the 4 C's of the 21st century. I've updated those because online, it's super important that your students can truly connect, not only with you, but also to each other. And here we get those collaborative activities. They want to work together and communicate, express themselves. Yeah, they want to be heard. They want to say what they think. And to a certain extent, they also want to have that control in the lesson. They want to have a voice to say what they want to do, what they like, what they think. And again, they want to get some challenge, because if there is no challenge, you all know what happens when there is no challenge. But when there is too much challenge, we also know what happens. So they want a little bit of the challenge. And at times, Stefana, there is a competition. And at times there is collaborative work that they actually work together. And the challenge is to make it work in a team, right? So let's explore, connection, Sabrina. I'm going to explore that with you. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more. Yeah. So the idea is that you can, in your online classroom or even in the face-to-face classroom, use that technology, use some of these apps and ideas to actually get students to connect. And when we speak about connecting, we really talk about the social connections. So students don't feel socially isolated. They feel like they're actually part of that team, that sense of belonging. They feel like they are part of the classroom. Yeah. So this is a really nice quote, actually, from Pacansky Brock. She does a lot of research on online teaching. Because one of the challenges, of course, is when you start a new class, like in September, when you have new students coming to your online classroom. That happens a lot in Dubai because people move so much. It is much harder to create that community, that sense of belonging in the group, because we're not together spontaneously. It's not like I can have a cup of tea and I talk to one of my students in break time. It's all very much planned and scheduled and prepared what we do on Zoom. And indeed, Elena, I've got 26. I hardly have time to connect with my students. They don't get to see as much from each other as they normally do either. I think the quote, I really like this quote. There's even a nicer one, which I found yesterday doing some research. No significant learning occurs without a significant relationship. So if there is no relationship, that positive relationship with you or with their classmates, the brain again is worried and nervous. There's no place for learning. And indeed, Antoinette, that chatting, that social chat that we normally have, that becomes so important to build that relationship with your students and within their group. So each session I start with my students, I do something like a connecting activity, I call it. I ask them a little bit about how are you feeling? Anything exciting you did today? And we can use the chat box, or they can go into the breakout rooms. And I also show parts of myself, of my own life. When I teach, for example, used to, I write 3 truths and a lie. And it's all about me, but we're actually looking at the language in there. They can see how the grammar is being used. And they like to find out more about you. Once they know that you show a little bit of your authentic self, there is trust. When you have trust in your students, it's much easier for them to start to trust you as well. But I do agree, like if you say there's very little time for that, that is a huge challenge. So at the moment, I log into my classes at least 10 minutes early, and there is something of a connector activity. Yeah, how do you feel today? There's lots of adjectives, they pick one, and then we look in the mood meter and see what color that is and what it means. And if a few of my students are red or orange, I know to tread carefully that day. because it's not just school that stresses them out. It might be things going on in their family with COVID-19, financial stresses. We really need to know a little bit how they are doing. Yeah, so spending time to get to know them. You can do a personal profile, which they place on your Padlet for the classroom, a little bit of information about themselves, one thing they like, something they absolutely dislike, a dream they have or an aspiration, and they can all read about that from each other as well. I've actually written an article that will come out in January in the Modern English Teacher with lots of ideas that we can build rapport in the classroom. Because if you ask me, connecting is the most important thing what you can do at the moment with your students to make them feel part of your community and open that brain for learning. Another activity, I'm not going to do it with you because we have no time, but I absolutely love it. Find something which, like I said to you, my students like to walk and talk. So I give them a task, and it could be something like, okay, unplug your microphone, get ready, go and find me something which you got given but never use. And I give them a minute or something to go walk around the living room, whatever they are, find an item, and they might bring it back. There's different things you can do. You can ask them to show and tell. You can ask them to describe it, and others have to guess what it is. I can show you, not say anything, and you're going to ask me questions about this. You could also take a picture of a funny angle, put that on your Padlet, and the others in class are going to guess what it is. Yeah, so you can do it synchronous or asynchronous as well. I never use this. It apparently is a piggy bank, as you can see. But the problem is, look, once I put my money in there, I have to break it because I can't get my money out. Absolutely useless. But it's very cute, so it does stay on my desk, but I never use it. Yeah. The nice extension then, of course, is that they can write from the first person. Yeah, so the viewpoint of the dog on my desk, we're going to do a little bit of paragraph writing. What is that actually experiencing the whole day on my desk? So it's collaborative, followed up by some individual writing at their level. Yeah, creative there. And of course, you are familiar with microphones for the breakout room. I also use a lot of recording tools teaching online because I don't hear enough of the speaking with 26 students. So sometimes I ask them this question for homework, and it's a bit weird, that question. It's a bit quirky. And that actually makes the brain work. The brain loves emotions and weird stuff and unusual things. They record it on their phone, or they use SpeakPipe or Vockaroo. They email it or upload it in our Google Drive. And I actually get to listen much more carefully to what they do. They get 1 minute to talk, and I can give them some personalized feedback as well. And another tool, I don't know if you use it with your class, Flipgrid. Lovely, you can upload yourself talking as a model about your item, and then students can respond and put their recording on top of your recording. So you actually get this whole conversation happening while you are not there. Yes, it's a lovely tool. Again, great for formative assessment because you can listen to what they have done. I think what it comes down to with all these activities where they share about their lives and we about our lives, it's all really about the fact that you show them that you care, because they really don't care about learning if they don't know that you care for them. Yeah, so really building that relationship is the most important thing that you can do, because otherwise that brain is not going to feel safe enough to learn at all. So connect with your students, connect with you, connect to their emotions, connect to each other, their interests, their culture. So for speaking, I might get them to bring in a picture on their phone that they can show on a PowerPoint that they want to talk about, an event in the past. Great, 2 pictures, we can start comparing. Connect to the prior learning, because you really need to start where they are and connect to their experiences. I think that is a really important fact. Good, I'm going to move you on. Communication, somebody said. And for me, that also means collaboration, because you cannot work together with other students if you don't communicate. Yeah? So we already did some communication activity. We did the answer garden activity. Yeah, that's very much word level. You can use Mentimeter, as you see here, which is maybe more sentence level. Writing task. You can use Flipgrid if you want them actually just to speak, and that is for that oral fluency to develop. Again, why is it so important that students get to use that language? And there's less time, I find, in the online classroom with 26 or 27 students, because if we don't give them a chance to use it in a communicative task, they might know the language, but they don't show the language. So again, you can do things in the breakout room where they have a debate or a discussion or talk about an experience. But I also use Padlet, again, quite a lot, one of my favorites. And so easy to use. And I think this is also my message for you. Don't use too much, use a few tools that you can do loads with. So one activity I love is explain yourself. Can use it with anything, and again, it's got images which the brain really likes. It engages our students. Explain yourself. You have been seen in the park with a dog in your camera bag. Explain yourself. So find an art image. I've got a friend who's a photographer. I take lots of weird pictures as well. So we share pictures, and then students have to come up with a justification for what happens. And the other person keeps on asking, no, but. So it's really communicating. Yeah, so I keep on sort of discrediting what you tell me your reason was. Can also get them to write a short paragraph, whatever you like to do with them. Or you can put this on Padlet, they can record it. As you know, Padlet has so much more than it used to have. As you can see here, you click on putting something in, you go to the 3 dots, and the 3 dots let you upload a voice, a video, a link, a picture. So if you haven't explored Padlet, definitely a great way for communication. It's a platform for them where they can express their ideas, they can respond to each other, so it's very authentic. They could do something as a group because it's in real time, but make sure you give feedback on that as well, and give them some time before you want them to talk and record. And the last thing I have here is make sure that you clearly communicate when and what you need from your students. Yeah, that could be not only on Zoom or Microsoft Teams, it could also be communicating via email or WhatsApp, whatever works to restate clearly what you want. Yeah. Good, then we had the other C, control, autonomy, choice. Students like to be given a choice. For example, Mentimeter, we didn't use this activity, but they could write whatever, how much they wanted. In the engagement activity on the right, you could choose the answer you preferred. There was no wrong, there was no right. It was your choice. Another choice I often give is we have 90-minute lessons. There's a little break in the middle. What do you want to do in break time? I make a poll on Zoom and the votes go out, and what's voted for the most, that's what we're going to do today. They can suggest what song or what YouTube. And we also do on Thursday afternoon, we watch a YouTube clip related to the topic of our lesson, but I have not selected that. My students contribute a link. They write 5 questions on a very short clip, and they have to tell me why they think this is appropriate. Very important question. Watch it before you use it. And then I select one every week to use on Thursday afternoon. Yeah, so over a period of the whole year, everybody get at least one video selected that they have contributed to the classroom, which really enhances their interest. Other choice, they can select how much they want to write, how much time they want to use, who they want to write with. I don't know if you're familiar with a choice menu. For 8 weeks, I create this. There's 9 different tasks. Sorry, I typed 2 8s, I see. English teacher, I'm sorry. So my students out of the 9 have to select 8 tasks, 1 every week, and they can select what they want to do whenever, but they need to cross them off. They have different task types, different end products. It's about reading, it's about writing, it's about interviewing, because these are the tasks in our curriculum, and they have the choice. So here they can actually do what they think suits them best at this moment in time. Yeah, and the thing is, they do it for homework. If they like it, there's more chance they do it. So if you want to experiment with this, I can only recommend it, because if they don't do it, there's no learning happening. So see if it can create those conditions for them to do it. That's the only way learning can take place. It needs to happen in their head, not in mine. So give them a choice. And I also like to say with that, give them a voice. When they contribute a topic, they're much more engaged quite often, particularly with speaking or writing. They can do some assessments. Of course, we need to teach them how to peer and self-assess, but it gives them a voice again. It gives them a responsibility, and it's great for autonomous learning. My last C, that level of challenge, right? We already spoke about that a little bit. We don't want to make it too easy. If it's too easy, the brain gets bored, turns off, starts doing different things. If it's too hard, the brain stresses, panic, no happening. So we really need to find that level of healthy struggle. High challenge, low stress, and they still have place to think. So here the cognitive load is just about perfect, but don't make it too easy, because we always feel more satisfied when we do something that's a little bit more challenging. So if you're familiar with Crescent, we get the +1. Camilla, PW, pair work and group work. I was talking about the other slide, sorry. So a little bit of challenge. For example, in a reading quest, I have an article online. I'm not going to give them the link. I want them to see if they can search and find it. But of course, some of my learners find this difficult. They're not so skilled in searching online. So I give them a cheat sheet. They all know there's 3 different cheat sheets. Number 3 is sort of the link. Yeah, so they can select how much help they want, if they want it at all. They have choice. They can select, challenge themselves or not, find the link, and then they can find the reading task there. Again, with challenge, there's lots of different things to think about. I think for me, the most important is that we create a culture that welcomes mistakes. It's not bad if you make mistakes. It's fabulous. This is how we learn, because students really need to feel safe and know that it's okay that they make mistakes. That's the best way. So challenge and tell them that it's okay. Scaffold if you need to support them, and model if it's a complex task. Show them what it looks like before they go to the breakout room or before they go and do it for homework. So good. So these 4 C's, I think it's all about, and more so about this than that it is about technology. We can use technology to enhance communication, a challenge, choice, and particularly that connecting in the classroom, but technology will never replace that. In the end, I think teaching, even though we're online, is all about being human. Yeah, it's not about technology. It's making your online class as relational and human as possible. So I think that is my most important message. Don't stress too much about all these apps and tools you can use. Think about how you can use some of those purposefully to create those conditions of connecting, communicating, giving them control and challenge through that technology in your online classroom. And indeed, be human, be you. That's what you've done for all these years as fabulous teachers. And this is what students remember the most, you and the relationship they have with you. That's how you truly enhance that learning. So good. So I don't know if you have any questions for me. I'm pretty sure they get the the slides, Romina. Is that correct?
Thank you, Anna. Yes, of course. Actually, one of our colleagues put the link in the chat box, guys. So if you need to see something and you need to see the slides or even the recordings of the previous webinars, you will see in the chat box the link. And also, I wanted to remind you that on the 2nd of December, there will be another webinar, always as an English Wednesday project with Josefina Ares. And it will be about self-directed learning for teenagers. So another interesting topics. Today, Anna, you were amazing. Thank you very much. Really, really interesting. Unfortunately, we don't have time for questions, but you are great because during the presentation, you could read in the chat box and answer them and answer the questions directly. So super interactive. And last thing I would like to remind you guys is about the certificates. So you will find them in about a week on the website mondadorieeducation.it/attestati. So I really would like to thank you, Anna, for today, and I think all of us are pretty happy with all the tips you shared. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you. And can I say thank you to all the teachers out here for being here and for being so active in that chat box. I really appreciate that because it's quite strange, as you know, talking to a screen. If you have any questions, feel free to connect. I'm always happy to answer them later. And there is also a little bedtime reading slide for you, which might be nice if you want to know about some of the books I used for this presentation. So.
Thank you, Anna. Perfect. Then thank you, everyone, and enjoy your evening because in Italy it's almost 5 now. So thank you very much, and let's see again probably on the 2nd of December.
And thank you, Romina, and thank you, Luca, for all your help. I really appreciate it. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Yes, Mondadori and all our team are really, really, really happy. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
See you. Bye.